Hello, here's a little bit of news, just a little bit. No need to get the big appetite of news going, because small portions in moderation are important to live a healthy life. And news-wise, apple a day is okay. Moving on to the thing that I want to talk about, which is a very short moment that is so representative of who the president is as a person in so many ways that it should be framed and then burned. But then we should frame those ashes and bury them in a time capsule on the moon and remember this moment forever. So welcome to an episode of Cody's Shody Presents a single moment that perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with the president, part 432. Earlier this month, January, the president talked about immigration. That, of course, was in the middle of the big government shutdown, which as of this taping has ended. Yeah, buddy! The president, of course, won, apparently, in a way that I'm sure will become clear in the coming weeks. Because while the Democrats are playing checkers, the president is playing chess. Because the Democrats are doing a specific thing with simple but specific rules and goals, whereas the president is doing something else. So that actually adds up. And I'm not sure what dimension of chess he's up to now, maybe in the high 30s dimension-wise for his chess game. It's unclear at this point, but it's all part of the plan. The president didn't, cave. He's not mad, actually. And he doesn't even really want a wall. Maybe it could be a really tall bench. That's what he always wanted this whole time. A bunch of really tall benches in a row. It doesn't matter, of course, because the important thing is that now that he's won, actually, he said that if they don't get the wall in the next few weeks, he'll do the whole national emergency thing. Like manufacturing a crisis in order to take emergency power and use the military to take land and build a wall to keep out foreigners. But anyway, he said that after he said he'd reopen the government, because only the best national emergencies are scheduled ahead of time. But anyway, what are we talking about? What are we doing here? Oh, right. Here's this moment I want to talk about. It's Donald J. Trump talking about immigration, so it's good and accurate and smart and not racist and good again. And you know what? Great again. So here it is, the moment we've all been waiting for. Well, whoever's watching this, maybe you haven't been waiting, maybe you're just watching, but let's actually read it out loud instead of showing it to you, because sometimes his voice and his face are unbearable. And I care about you, my beautiful sweet babies, and it can be fun to read the words that come out of his mouth so you can hear them come from a normal person's mouth. So here we go. January 14th, trying to gin up more fear about immigrants and the need for a wall, the president said, "Somebody comes into our country, they touch one foot on the ground, and we have to catch them. It's called catch. We then take their names and we bring them to a court. Can you believe this? And we release them. And they go into our country, and then you announce, these are the laws. Then you say, come back in 3 years for your trial. Tell me, what percentage of people come back? Would you say 100%? No, you're a little off. How about 2%? Laughter. And those people you almost don't want because they cannot be very smart. Laughter. 2%. 2%. 2% come back. Those 2% are not going to make America great again. That I can tell you. Laughter and applause. Crazy. Now, what a guy. Now, I think this is fascinating because it's all of the things. It illustrates that he's a liar, incompetent, racist, malicious, and a criminal, all in one juicy little nugget. Now, obviously, I think we can all assume correctly that this is full of lies. It's the president, after all. Because actually, the majority of people who are caught at the border are released back to their home country. Laughter and applause. Also, that 2% number, that's real low. Like unbelievably low. Because it's a lie. The majority of people show up to court. A majority, of course, would be more than 50%. So in regards to 2% being remotely accurate, he's off by at least 49% in his claim. Sorry, in his lie. That's what I meant to say. I misspoke, like the president does so constantly. So This isn't anything new or special. It's a lie. It's a blatant, severe lie. He lies all the time. 4 Pinocchios for you, good sir. Also, more than 51% of people show up for court. It's actually closer to 60 to 75%. But it's not just the lies. See, there was an Obama program from 2016 called the Family Case Management Program. It was a method to keep asylum-seeking families together. You know, the asylum-seeking families that are causing the crisis at the border, the rapists and the murderers from Mexico are the crisis at the border. It's unclear. But whatever, this program allowed families to stay together and not have to be detained, costing money and trauma and so on. And it was actually 100% effective in getting these families to show up for their court date. It cost about $36 a day as opposed to $133 a day to detain them. And anywho, in Donald Trump's first year in office, he scrapped the program. This isn't uncommon for him. He's done a lot of things to make legal immigration harder and to sort of preemptively deteriorate and destroy something in order to claim that it's broken so we can get rid of it. Republicans are big on doing this as well, but the president loves it, and lying about it, and blaming those lies on other lies. Trying so hard to detain immigrants that they told the Supreme Court they'd uphold a ruling about parole for non-threatening asylum-seeking migrants, but a private memo reveals that they planned on throwing out the rule no matter what. Also, the backlog of immigration court cases pending has increased by 50% under President Trump, and 43,000 court cases were put on hold because of the government shutdown that was done because immigration is a problem. And P.S., here's some news. The head of the Border Patrol Union just stated that Trump's immigration plan makes things worse. In fact, their policy is, quote, incentivizing illegal immigration. What to do? Build a wall, I guess? But even aside from the lies and the malicious manipulation of programs and facts to manufacture problems, we're not even done breaking down this very short quote from the president. Because not only did he stop a program that was helping in order to make a problem worse so that he may manufacture a crisis and lie about the problem that he's making worse, and people aren't showing up to court. Oh no, he also doesn't like it if you show up to court. He thinks people who show up to court are not smart, and we don't want them here. But also they're bad. It's bad because only 2%, citation needed, show up to court. But those 2% who do show up, we don't want them either, probably because of racism, just throwing that out there. But they're not smart, you see, for showing up to court. The thing we're complaining about them not doing. And this is fascinating because it's a beautiful, disgusting window into the broken criminal mind of Donald Trump, a crime guy. He's a natural crime guy. That's just his mode. He thinks if you show up to court, you're dumb. Because a crime guy wouldn't show up to court. Be better at being criminals, you criminals, who I hate for being criminals also. We don't want you here for reasons. It's unclear. And if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. But if you do the crime, make sure to not do the time, which is a crime, which we like, because if you do a crime and you own up to it, or you go to court, you're not very smart. You're bad at crimes. We don't want you here. We want the good criminals. And we want the people who are smart enough to not go to court. The thing that I'm complaining about them not doing right now. These are Donald Trump's crime guy instincts, just laid out for everybody. Because he operates like a crime guy, he thinks about things like a crime guy. A great example of this is that he automatically tears things up when he's done reading them. He has aides tape them back together because it's just something he does instinctively. Read a thing? Oh, you gotta tear it up lest somebody see it because of the crimes I naturally do for personal gain. So we have this guy who over and over illustrates himself to be an ignorant, incurious man who constantly lies and creates problems and ruins things so that he may lie about them and create fear and maybe do a little racism and lie about it for all the purposes of personal gain. Maybe We should question the president's intentions in regards to military action in Venezuela, considering in the past he's talked about invading struggling countries to take their oil. Who knows? Here's a quote from the old president talking about how the country should turn to crap to get better and how much money he could make if the economy tanks and if things got real bad.
You know what solves it? When the economy crashes, when the country goes to total hell, and everything is a disaster, then you'll have you'll have riots to go back to where we used to be when we were great. I sort of hope that happens, because then people like me would go in and buy. If there is a bubble burst, as they call it, you can make a lot of money.
Sure, there could be riots, but I get the money. Hurry, let's get that man be the president. And I guess that's just a little bit of the news for you. I guess we're done. The shutdown's over for now, but we penciled in the national emergency for a few weeks from now. We'll see how that goes. Kudos to the Democrats for not caving. Surprisingly good job there. Kudos to air traffic controllers and unions who got really fed up, because of the danger and exhaustion from the president's shutdown. And they threatened to strike, leading to the shutdown ending. So good job. Strikes are effective. That's good to know. And good job, Mr. President, for saying just a few sentences and managing to represent yourself as the guy who creates terrible situations in order to lie about them so that he may take advantage of them for personal gain, like a crime guy about praising criminals. And speaking of criminals, why do all these criminals keep hanging around and associating with the president and his campaign? That's right, here's some news. Roger Stone, Nixon back tattoo haver and apparent conduit between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, is just the latest of the president's associates, crime buddies, indicted in the Mueller investigation. Stone, of course, went with, "I'm not a criminal," doing that famous gesture people who aren't crooks do. And the Nixon Foundation went out of their way to denounce any relationship Stone ever had with Richard Nixon. And just because of who the president is and who surrounds him, let's not assume anything about him, all right? We don't want to go overboard. He's a good man. As he pointed out on Twitter, if Roger Stone was indicted for lying to Congress, then what about the lying done by... It's a long list of people. And what about not the president. And what about some other thing that's not what we're talking about? And what about... Okay, so an innocent guy who cares about law and order, right on. And we joke about him a lot, but it's out of love. He's one of my heroes, and I think that we should show him respect. And I hope you believe me that I think that. And I'll just leave you with, I think, one of my favorite presidential quotes. "Sure, there will be riots, but I get the money." The news? Hello. Thanks for watching a little bit of the news. Like and subscribe on YouTube and patreon.com/somemorenews and podcast even more news and Twitter, YouTube. How are you doing?